This is the first car review on this channel, and it starts off with a banger because this is a Corvette C7. This Corvette C7 is a 2019. It's finished in shadow gray, which is a 2019 only color, and that metallic is pretty nice. I mean, it is freshly waxed, and that's why it's so shiny, but the car is dirty, so you're not going to get quite as much as if it was clean. Very dirty, actually. It's going to get washed right after this. This shine is as good as it is, specifically because of one thing, and that is Meguiar's liquid ultimate wax. I'll put a link in the description just because it is that good. Obviously the C7's been around for a lot of years now, so everybody knows the basics, but I'll repeat them just in case you haven't heard them. 460 horsepower out of the 6.2 liter V8, 455 pounds-feet of torque. Obviously it's the rear wheels, it's a vet, and obviously it's the last front engine vet, and most importantly to me, it's the last stick vet. The car drives great. I mean, it punches so high above its weight class, it's not even funny. This particular vet has the 1LT pack, so it is bare. It's got no options. It is the cheapest C7 Corvette you could buy in 2019, and I love it. I think the shadow gray looks great. Nothing's cheap. The car even comes with a Bose stereo. I mean, everything's really nice on this car. You can't deny it, and I'll prove it by taking a look on the inside. So first of all, this is obviously how you get in, and if you can hear the sound, that sound is the same sound a Ford GT makes when you open the door. Kind of thinking it might be the same release, which is a little cheap because that car is 15 years old now. Everything's nice in here. Yeah, there's some vet stuff, some American car stuff that's not as nice as you'd want it to be. This isn't the nicest materials. The seats are really nice. Everything's nice enough. Yeah, the buttons are really cheap and plasticky, but they actually look good. The wheel looks like it's on a $300,000 car. That's where it should be coming from. If I start it up, you'll see how nice everything around it is. The screens are great, both of them. This one will come up in a second, but here's your tag. This is in touring, and then we're gonna put it in sport. There's sport, here's track. Oh, whoops. So you see the screen change ever so slightly, but it does change, and it's really nice. It's a digital screen, obviously, all digital. This is, I mean, it's a little old. I understand if that's what you can complain about, but everything works great. Everything, if it's a little cheap in some places, it's okay, but it looks great. So to show you guys the trunk, I'll first show you the key. So it's literally any normal GM key you'd find on a Cadillac, any other Chevy. So you have your lock, unlock, you have your trunk, and you obviously have your alarm. The only difference between this and any other GM key is it's got the Corvette badge here, and obviously you guys are going to think, well, this is carbon fiber, that's not the same as any other GM key. Well, it is. This is an add-on in Corvette Mods. Corvette Mods has a lot of carbon stuff, a lot of other customization stuff, but the prices aren't as good as other places, I've learned, so not going to use them from now on. The only other thing on this car that's been added, and it's really not added, but I'll put the link, it was from an eBay store, it's pretty good. These carbon paddles here, they are really good. They're not actually carbon, they're real carbon, but they're on the back of plastic. They're on the back of the regular paddles. I know why they're paddles in a stick, it's just a rev match button. But it feels much better, it's a lot bigger. I know you only press it once when you're in the car, or maybe twice if you want to turn it off, but, you know, it's not a big deal to me. I just think it, you know, looks a lot better, feels a lot better for that one time, so whatever. This trunk is literally gigantic. I mean, McLaren 720S, Ferrari 458, those two supercars that have huge trunks. Lambos have tiny trunks, but those two cars have huge trunks, and they are not half the size of this. The 720 might be because it's got a front one and a back one on both the coupe and the Spider, but this is just, I mean, you could fit, like a school backpack fits, like, here. This little, like, corner. I mean, it's insane. And it's accessible, obviously, from inside as well, between the seats. The only thing I would change on this car from stock, or even regardless, I'm not going to change anything else, is I would have gotten the GT2 seats. I mean, they're comfortable seats, but they're American seats. They're not sporty, they're not carbon, but they look okay. But the car drives great. I wouldn't change anything. I know there's an extensive mod thing. I like carbon. This is all I'm going to do. I might end up doing, like, the door switching carbon, but nothing really too big. So yeah, basically this is the car, and we're going to take it for a drive in a second. If you guys want, next video is going to be 5 things dislike, 5 things like, and I know that's really cliche on YouTube, but I mean, I'm sorry, it's just true, because there are some really quirky things with this car, and a lot of them I don't like. But the obvious and what is important is what I like, and that's why this is one of the greatest. This is the best car under 100 grand. I mean, unless you're gonna buy a used 12C, which you want to buy that extended warranty for. But I mean, it is. I mean, the Gallardo just doesn't drive great if anyone's driven a Gallardo. One thing, a lot of people say this car has really good pedal placement, and this is the only stick car I've driven, so I can't comment on that, but I think it's really easy to drive, really easy stick. The only thing you gotta know is, I'll show you guys right now. Get in the car. Okay, so, obviously gonna put my foot on the clutch, but I want you guys to see this. So you put the car in first. A lot of the times it's not actually in, but it'll say it is on the screen. So you gotta like push it in and hold it in order for it to actually be in. It's a little annoying, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but if it happens on a hill and you don't realize it, it's pretty bad. But otherwise, really no real complaints with this car. I wish they'd fix that. It's really, really annoying. I've heard it from a bunch of people. But other than that, let's take the car for a drive and see how she drives. And hint, it's a spoiler, not a big spoiler, the car drives freaking amazing. So as we go for a drive, the paddles are for rev matching, obviously, so just turned it on. Now I'm gonna back out. And let's head out. So already, obviously I've actually driven this car over 2,000 miles, so I'm used to it, but already initial impressions, if this were my first time driving it, I tell you the clutch is very light. This is the car I learned to drive stick on. It's the only car I've driven stick on, but the clutch is very light. I've felt the clutch of other cars, and this clutch is very light. It's a nice thing, especially in traffic, as a daily driver. It makes it great. The screen, really nice, as you guys saw earlier, and the car sounds great. The window is closed because that's what you guys are attached to right now, but you guys, I think, could hear a little exhaust. It is pretty quiet, even though this is the track exhaust setting it's on right now. What I like about the car is you can configure the exhaust, the steering, everything differently. So I have the car in touring right now, as you guys can see from the blue T on the screen, but the steering and the exhaust is in track. So steering much better in track. It's an electric rack, so it's much heavier, much more direct, much more precise. I really love it. It's much better for me. It's definitely more fun, and these paddles give it a better feel, even though obviously it's a stick. You ask why should it need paddles, whatever, but the car drives great. So another thing you notice, it's got no throttle lag, no lag in response to the throttle, and that's because it's naturally aspirated, obviously. You got that 6.2 liter V8, and it does wonders. 460 horsepower, 455 pounds-feet of torque, that is plenty. Some other cars I can compare it to, I did drive a 720S once, briefly, but I drove it. That car, it's got better steering feel, and it's obviously got more speed, and it rides better, but this rides great too. They both ride really well, but initially what I can tell you is this car does feel as light as the McLaren. The McLaren's turning circle and everything was tighter, felt more like a supercar, but the McLaren drove great, and so did this. And this car was $40,000. This car was $40,000. That is a hell of a lot less than the $330,000 of a 720S. So, I mean, it's a bargain. It really is. It's literally a bargain. The car drives great. It rides great. It rides better than a Porsche Speedster. I've been in that car. It rides better than that. It rides better than a Courier GT. It rides better than a Ford GT. It's a lot less money than those cars. It rides better than a 458, 488, any of the cars. The only supercar that rides better is a 720S, a 12C, or a 650. Because those are the McLarens with the hydraulic suspension, the tricked suspension. So yeah, those ride better. That's about it, sports car, supercar wise. And this is faster than a 911 GT3 in a straight line. G3 you can get like 3.860. This is also like 3.8, but this has more torque. So down low, for most drivers, it's gonna be a lot faster. And as you can see, it handles great on roads like this. It really does. It drives great. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it drives really good. I mean, for the price, it rides so well. The steering is very precise. If you get into really tight turns, The steering gets a little loose, I'm not gonna lie, it does. But I really like it. And it just rides so well. This is New York roads. New York roads are absolutely atrocious. Awful. There's an R8. I don't know if you guys can see that R8 from your view. But rev match works really well. I'll show you guys. I'm in third gear, 25 miles an hour. Hear that? Sounds great. It really does work well. It's actually going to be pretty hard for me to drive other cars. I'm going to be driving a Ford GT for the channel soon, but I'm going to have to learn how to... I mean, I can rev match first and second gear. I haven't gone past that. Other than that, I drive with rev match on. You can see that by the yellow letter, the yellow number, excuse me, there. But the car drives great. It's very smooth, very fast, it's got power, and it sounds great. This is a small neighborhood, so I'm not really going to give it too much gas, but you will be able to hear it here. That big V8 sounds great. I can't lie to you guys. It's a bargain. I mean, it's a bargain. The C8, I get it. It's more of a bargain, but it's not a stick. Less exciting. Okay, so there's it's definitely less exciting, C8. But this car does drive really well. I mean, it's I don't know. I couldn't buy a C8 over this. I couldn't see myself ever trading this car in for anything shy of a supercar. I mean, this car just drives unbelievably well. And the price point is insane. I mean, it really is. There's going to be a lot of videos of this car, so this will be towards the end of the video now. It will, but you got the downshifts are great. You just don't get this engagement out of the 720. The 720 is more engaging steering-wise because it is a better steering rack, it's heavier steering, whatever. It is more precise and everything, but it's just, there's something about a stick, man. There really is. And this is a great transmission. Yeah, one thing it does do is it pops out of first gear. Sometimes you think it's in, it'll say 1 on the dashboard, and it isn't in 1. It's not in anything, it's in neutral. But little things like that you gotta live with, especially when you have the performance of a car like a Speedster that's $300,000 or a GT3 that's $100,000 for just fractions of the money. And I mean, this car has actually appreciated since it's been purchased because they got rid of the incentives on the new cars. But it's just a blast to drive, and you guys can see here it handles really well. These are some tight roads, and it just eats them up with nothing. Yeah, when you get on tighter roads in this, like real hairpins and stuff, the rack isn't as precise as the McLaren. It isn't as precise as the other cars that it really, you know, that I could compare it against. It is more precise than the Supra. The Supra was a little lax. I did drive the Supra for a little bit. The steering was nowhere near this good, and it just sounded like a BMW, not the engine. The chimes it makes, the sounds it makes, but yeah, I mean, I love this car. I'd take this over a Supra any day, and I did. I'm gonna pull over here just for a second so you guys can hear it. I'm gonna give it a little rev. Okay, let me put the parking brake on. I'll put you guys down. Okay. So you guys might have noticed I never actually paused the camera there. I just went for a short drive, and even in that short drive you did see it pop out of gear. I don't know if you guys noticed, but at a stop sign the car jiggled. That's because I had to take it out of gear, put it back in. So yeah, the car drives great. It is a bargain at the price it is now. I mean, they did go up a little bit because it is the last manual car. It should hold its value, but the car looks absolutely phenomenal for the price. I mean, this M850i here costs a lot more money, and it's just, I'd take this in a heartbeat. Even the wheels are just really nice. Everything's really nice. The materials are really nice. And yeah, from the passenger seat, it's not as nice, the interior. And that really is because it's driver oriented. And I like cars like that. It's got a stick, and I just couldn't own this car with what is just a torque converter auto because they didn't have a dual clutch on a C7. So ending thoughts, car's great. It's compared to a Supra. It's way faster. It's actually lighter, which makes no sense because the car looks and feels much bigger, much more sturdy, much more car. And it is lighter. It's like 3,300 pounds. The Supra's 3,500 pounds, which is a big difference. And this has a big V8. It doesn't make any sense. But they both drive great. I understand that. But this is less money for what we paid for it. And it's a better car. It's a better car. But yeah, I love this car. It is, it's a great car. I just can't, I just left it raw. I wanted to show you guys my actual impressions of the car as I was driving. As you saw, the thing bopped. It does pop out of gear. There are slight quirks like that, but I mean, if you could take slight quirks like that, you could take slight quirks like that. So, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and I'll see you guys next time. By the way, if you guys are still here at this point in the video, I do appreciate your support, and I would like to say that the next video, well, not the next video, but the next car that will be featured on this channel will be this car, brand new BMW M850i. It is much nicer than I thought it was, and I think you guys are going to like the video that comes out on it. It does sound great, so you'll get some good revs of that. But thank you for watching, and please leave a like if you can.